as usual, great taste in music there, TotalBiscuit.
All right, are you ready for the next game?
I am super ready. It looks like the players are ready. I would ask if chat is ready, but I'm going to be honest, the countdown has already begun, so it don't matter, as we are going to be in, I believe that this is the 4th game so far?
It is. We're already on the 4th game. It's like we've had so little downtime, we're already on the 4th game. That's just how we roll here at the House of the Swarm.
I don't know, TotalBiscuit. I feel like we should get a shot of the audience for like an hour and a half. What do you think?
I don't know. I've got a few sponsors I could definitely plug. I would also really love to sell you some iOS games, if you'd be okay with that. Just a few games for your mobile phone, support esports and all that.
Yeah, and energy drinks as well as lots of keyboards. I'm ready to buy all of those.
Shall I tell you what drink I actually endorse, by the way?
Let's hear it.
So the drink I endorse is Propel Zero. Propel Zero. Yeah, man. It's flavored water. It's really, really great.
That sounds delicious. What also sounds delicious, which is a terrible segue, is our 2 players, of course, down in the bottom right side. Well, we're going to be having a team kill here today between Team Axiom, but it is going to be Crank.
And over to the southwest of this is a new map. This is Newkirk City from Heart of the Swarm. It is Ax.Ryung playing Terran in the red. Just had to flip over the sponsors there. It's okay, yes. Both these guys sponsored by the same people.
Yeah, and you know, I gotta say, I've met the sponsors of this team, and I gotta say they're kind of a dick. They've let their wealth kind of go to their heads. So if you ever meet them, just tweet them and say that you don't like them. I think that's probably the best way of going about that.
Yeah, I mean, essentially, if you email the sponsors, that's the best way of getting anything done within esports. And the best way to support esports, I feel, is to, as much as possible, write as many angry letters as you can.
Yeah, and you should definitely try and get players kicked off of teams as well.
Yeah.
Based on things they may say in a chat room somewhere. But regardless, of course, Team Axiom is my favorite team, and this is, of course, a PvT, which right now we see a gas going down already for Ryung, and this is during the barracks here, which means that it could be mech play, it could be Reaper play, or he could just be really bad and is not going to spin this gas ever.
Yeah, Ryung is actually known for being an absolutely terrible player, so it's entirely possible that that might be happening.
And the supply depot going to be going down for the wall-in as well. The probe not able to get inside, so it's going to be that awkward moment where that probe really can't do anything unless he tries to do some crazy... No, he really can't do anything now unless the SCV actually skirts on the outside like a dummy. You know, TotalBiscuit, ever since StarCraft 1 came out, even before Brood War, I feel like SCVs should get some sort of training that prevents them from doing stupid things such as exposing themselves to the outside of the wall while building. I've been playing through Warcraft 3, and the peons know how to do that, and peons were like way back in the day before like any technology was invented. So
well, the technology just isn't there yet, Husky. There's no way.
That's true.
They can't do that. You're just being unreasonable with your expectations now.
I know, I'm setting the bar way too high, and looks like the Marine's going to be doing some 2v1 action versus the unbuildable rocks. I gotta say, I do like this from Crank. I know it's a minor touch, but putting the pylon on the left side of the base, not only does it allow you to spot drops, not only does it allow you to spot proxies, but you can hide tech there as well, and even if you just put your other gateways there, it still is considered hiding tech, as we don't have the second gas or an expansion quite yet. It looks like it will be an expansion to follow it up here, but Crank is playing it so standard, but also a little more safe than he might even need to here.
Mothership Core on the way up for him as well. We're going to see either Hellions or Widow Mines coming out of Ryung at this point, and he played around with Widow Mines in the first game, and it worked really well for him, so it wouldn't surprise me to see a couple of Widow Mines coming out, but now he's going to go Hellion initially, and just dip in there and do a little bit of damage as much as he can. In the meantime, Crank aggressively pushing across the map with a Zealot here. Also a Pylon put in an aggressive position.
And the Stalker as well, so he's got to try and put on some pressure. And actually, Widow Mines would have been hugely beneficial here, but unfortunately, it's going to be Hellions at first. So the Stalker gonna have free reign over killing a couple Marines here. And that poor Hellion,
oh no!
It was set there, it got split up. He still manages to save it though by bringing it on inside the main base. So both players getting minor victories here. Can the Zealot spot the command center? Yes, he can. So he does know about that. The Zealot's days are numbered, but I gotta say the rally point was set correctly. But one Hellion went outside, one went inside. I don't think I've ever seen that. And the Stalker here, I mean, he's going to be almost unstoppable until these Widow Mines pop out.
Uh-oh. Actually, he can't do it. Oh, the Widow Mines are going to actually trap the Stalker if he's not... He's been walled in! He's been walled in by the Widow Mines! He can't get away! Oh my god, Ryung, so Gosu. That was just sick.
Yeah, you know what, TotalBiscuit? Notice how he didn't burrow the Widow Mine because there was a chance the Stalker could get away, but more importantly, now those Widow Mines are ready to shoot. So wherever he burrows them, they don't have to wait for their cooldown. So an awesome play there by Ryung, and you know, there are 3 Terrans in this tournament, so I feel like the Protoss are really cheering for Crank here. But I gotta say, that was a great move by Ryung, and this is why I love betas, because you get to see players start to figure out the new units.
That was so well played. You would have thought, oh, let's borrow, but no, actually using the Widow Mines to stop the Stalker getting away was a really nice move. Hellion moving in and is going to be stopped, and well, Force Field doesn't really do an awful lot other than trap his brethren outside. Widow Mine is actually moving towards the line there. However, detection has been active. Oh, this is going to go off. It's going to go off. Oh, it hits the probes. He didn't have the DPS. The mothership is really bad at doing damage, and that's a lot of probes that just went down there. That's 5 total killed by that. Actually, I believe it was 4 because 1 was killed earlier, but nice use of the detection there, but he wasn't quite quick enough to kill the Widow Mine before it was able to actually prime.
Yeah, and now one thing to remember is if you think back to the Brood War days, mines did not activate on probes, or any worker for that matter, but they did a lot more splash damage, whereas in StarCraft 2, they do activate on workers, and they do just enough splash damage to kill a worker in 1 hit. If you look at it, they do 40 splash damage. Guess what? 40 HP total between shields and health on those workers. So you have to be super careful because it can either be 1 probe or it can literally be every single probe if it happens to capture your workers as they're transferring over. Because remember, they clump up when they're clicked on a mineral patch there. So unfortunately for Crank, kind of got the short end of, well, both sticks so far because he lost that Stalker originally.
It's funny, really, isn't it? Because in TBT, that's not going to matter so much because the workers are actually 45 HP. Whereas in the other 2 matchups, it will actually be relevant. So you're seeing an interesting amount of asymmetry, I feel, with that. In the meantime, Double Forge coming down here for Crank. Twilight Council being added on as well. That's at about the right time to go straight into 2-2. Crank's Double Forge style, very common. And it's the kind of thing that he always falls back onto if he feels that he's in a position where he won't necessarily be able to win with ease. He needs something solid to play through the mid-game. And aside from those Winter Mines at the moment, Ryung not really deploying anything all that special as of yet. And we're not seeing heavy air coming in from Crank either. He's going for straight-up Gateway.
Oh, this is so unfortunate for Crank. I was keeping an eye on the Observer. He actually had it rallied to spot that sort of hidden third base. Normally, you're going to be expanding right at the base of the ramp there, but he actually canceled that command. Of course, it's going to be one of those Captain Hindsight 2020 type situations where he's going to later realize that the expansion is indeed up there, but he does manage to kill off 1 Widow Mine. Oh, God, they're so fast. They are so fast there. The Stalker's trying to keep up, and he does get that one. But the other one's able to escape quite quickly. How something with such tiny legs can almost outrun a Stalker is beyond me. But you know what? That is the Widow Mine.
Yes, it is. Double drop on the way up right here. The Observer is out of position to catch that. Couple of Stalkers moving in as well. There's a scan going down. The sentries are moving towards the back, so he is ready for some kind of drop. But question is, can he actually deal with it? And it looks like these gateways are going to get shut down here. Here comes the engagement. The sentries are in play. It's a decent position for both sides, honestly, but I feel it favors the Terran slightly just because the Zealots can't actually come around the back there. But the drop has been denied without too much damage being done. He's going right in again. A second force field placed down to deny this as quickly as he can. Really nice drop play coming in from Ryung with a micro here, focusing down those sentries. A second sentry going down. A third one's going to die here as well. That would have made it totally worthwhile.
Yeah, I think that was a bit of a miss rally on those units, not getting them quite in the control group. And I got to hand it to Ryung. He saw the opportunity and took it. That proxy pylon is still established on the left side, so we could counterattack at any time. There is a DT loose inside the main base here, though, for Ryung. Not a whole lot of detection here.
No, there's another one. I believe there was at least 2 warped in. Yeah, there are 2 DTs on the field right now.
Gets so many kills, 13 kills on that Widow Mine, so this DT's got a lot of work to do if he wants to equal out the score.
Dark Shrine taking damage, but it's most likely not going to go down. Those Dark Templar are having a field day over there, and they can't at least get into the second base there, but the cleanup has happened, and unfortunately I did miss that Widow Mine. Wow, it's all the way at the back, really? Yeah, that Widow Mine's got 13 kills on it. So 19 workers killed to 5 at the moment. Ryung with a good, comfortable lead, having established his third base, and Crank, I don't think, knows that it's here. He still hasn't spotted it.
There's the medevacs, which all of a sudden become great scouts because of their emergency thrusters, which is kind of a very misleading name because you don't use those in emergencies. You use those all the time, as it doesn't take them very long to get off cooldown. The Widowmine's still in the back of that natural there. The Observer finally going to be moving over. Remember that Widowmines cannot kill cloaked units anymore, so DT is actually a great way to go ahead and clean those up, and that's exactly what he did there. But unfortunately for Crank right now, very low on the worker count, only 39. He does have a third base up, though, and hasn't been mining very long, but that is going to help equalize this out. But at the same time, a big stem, a big sprint through the center of the map, and it's a mad blitz to that third base.
That is DT now moving into the third base. There's actually no defense in order to deal with this DT, so that's going to get pretty gutted. But as you said, there is this big push towards the third. There's no real defense for that. There's also this factory is making Widow Mines, proxy factory, building Widow Mines directly into that position. The drop is cleaned up in the main, but the Widow Mine shouldn't come out there really unless, I don't know, actually it might. It looks like the Widow Mine is going to build.
Yeah, and that's one of those things, as a Protoss player myself, I'd be like, oh, he's just building a Hellion, it's going to be fine. Nope, you're playing hard the Swarm, which means proxy factories in your base, actually kind of a big threat. It looks like the Zealot will get killed off here.
No, he doesn't get it, that's huge!
Does get the Zealot instead of the workers, but big attack on the left side, forcing the lift off here. Now remember, a base for a base is going to be favoring Ryung right now, because he's been ahead before all this. The DT barely getting out of the scan, but that's not going to be enough, and here comes a huge army for Ryung.
Yeah, that might be a little bit too much to throw back, honestly. We've got Archon and a lot of Zealots, but not much else here. Upgrades are certainly favoring Crank right now, and will be for the next couple of minutes, but with EMP coming onto the field right now, this is getting progressively more ugly for our Protoss player. He can't really hold on to the bases that he's got. At least he hasn't... that's one thing. Since he's been on low probes for the longest time, he can still mine from his natural here, at least.
Yeah, and I mean, if we take a look at the units lost here, I mean, you can just see that Crank has lost a lot of resources, but he still hasn't lost all the resources on those two bases. So, you know, for the next minute or so, he's going to be basically mining at full capacity of two bases, which can end up working out for Protoss if you have something like Storm or a lot of Archons. But unfortunately, we're not seeing a lot of either. We do see 3 Archons here, and the 2-2 upgrades are looking nice. You can see him attempting to get that Storm. But really, I mean, he's got to take a risk. He's got to try and just make a lot of units and win. He's got to try to expand. He's got to try and rely on Storm, but either one is going to be weak because Ryung is basically ahead in most ways. Ahead in supply, ahead in income, and ahead in the worker count. So, you know, it's one of those situations for Crank where what do you give up? Is it going to be your economy or is it going to be your tech?
Wow, Ryung with the really sick micro coming in right there, and clearly he is not amused, using the emergency thrusters to good effect to dance around in front of the army, get good scouting information. And it is Zealot Archon right now versus a Marine Marauder Ghost composition with Medivacs, and, well, I think you know how that usually goes.
Yep, I do, especially if those EMPs are going to be able to hit the Templar or the Archons. Doesn't really matter. Even just hitting the Zealots is huge because those units do clump up a lot more than the larger Archons. But the 2 armor nearly done here with 3 attack already on the way. So Crank right now is basically going to have to rely on 1 or 2 good Storms. It's going to be all he has kind of up his sleeve if this battle does take place right now. Don't count out the Storms, though, because if he gets them perfectly, it will quickly turn this game around. But as of right now, he has got to be so cost-effective.
He really, really does. Can't really afford to be harassing right now. He's got to fight as best he can. That's the first Storm, and it misses really badly. And he doesn't have too many more. He's got maybe 2 more Storms available. There's a second Storm coming down. Once again, doesn't hit all that well. And this is a great engagement here for Ryung. EMPs go down. They weren't that great either. And going on, hitting the Archon as well. He doesn't have any more Storms. Mule's going down the center here. I think Ryung knows that this is his. Oh, man. The axe coming down. GG. And Ryung goes 2-0 in this tournament.
Oh, I gotta say, man, I love the good old easy peasy. Of course, they are on the same team, so it's all in good fun. But you know, at the same time, I mentioned it before, I mentioned it again, and I'm going to mention it yet again. The Widow Mines are the one unit that I think is the most difficult to figure out how to deal with. Because, again, we even saw the Proxy Factory making a Widow Mine. Whereas, you know, in TBP, Proxy Factories are never a big deal because one Hellion in your base, you have so many ways to deal with it. You have Stalkers that you can warp in, you can use a flying unit, they're not a threat. Whereas, you know, a Proxy Widow Mine, though, if you let it burrow, it can kill all your workers if you're not careful there. So again, I definitely think the Widow Mine is kind of the deciding factor in that game. It allows Terran to be more effective in the mid and late games, and that's really what the players are going to have to watch out for moving forward.
They certainly are. Ladies and gentlemen, we're taking a short break. When we come back, our next game of the evening, which will be our 5th game so far, is going to be MMA taking on Heart in a Terran versus Terran. So one of these guys is going to be getting a point on the board. And in fact, it's a possibility for Heart to actually get a second one and really shove his way up the rankings. Current rankings are right now, Ryung is in the lead with 2 for 2, so 100% win ratio for him. Crank and Heart both have a point on the board, and MMA and Mia do not, although bear in mind that this is only MMA's second map of the tournament, and Mia has not played his second map yet either. So it's still all to play for here in the House of the Swarm. We'll be right back after this break for our next game. Don't go